Why is my husband being called Dad? I went to the hospital to visit my sister who had just given birth, along with my husband and his sister's family. But then my sister said the newborn's father was none other than my husband. Everyone was stunned, but for some reason my husband had a smirk on his face. The moment I saw his expression, my anger reached its peak. I'm going to give them the grandest congratulations they'll ever get. And then I called for someone. My name is Sarah, I'm 29 years old, and I've been married for 5 years now. My husband John and I have known each other since we were kids. We started dating in high school, but we've been friends long before that since our families lived nearby. There was a small park behind my childhood home where John and I would play after school. It was just a swing set and a sandbox, nothing fancy, but to us kids, it was the perfect place to hang out. John and I spent hours together there, often being the last ones to leave. I wasn't very athletic, and sometimes I couldn't keep up with the other kids, but John would always wait for me. Unlike other boys, John never made fun of me for being slow. To my childhood self, John was someone I could always rely on. At the time, I didn't understand anything about love, but looking back, I think I was drawn to his kindness even back then. Though we rarely had time alone together as kids because my little sister Lily was always with us. Lily is a year younger than me, and she was always part of our playtime. She was full of energy, always coming up with new games to keep us entertained. Lily was the kind of kid who didn't shy away from older children at the park. In fact, she often found herself at the center of their attention. When Lily was with us, we sometimes ventured beyond the park, going on little adventures together. She had a natural way of taking the lead. John also had a sister named Emma, who was a grade below me in school. Emma started joining us at the park once she got older. Despite Emma being a bit quieter than Lily, they hit it off right away. The four of us had a lot of fun together, and our friendship only grew stronger. Once we entered middle school, though, we stopped playing at the park, and I began to drift apart from John. Our classes and extracurricular activities were different, and we just didn't have the same connection anymore. However, Lily and Emma remained close. They would hang out at each other's houses, so I'd still hear updates about John through them. Even though I wasn't talking to him directly, I still felt close to John because of our sisters. Eventually, we both ended up going to the same local high school, and surprisingly, John and I ended up in the same class for the first time since elementary school. It felt like the time apart hadn't even happened. We quickly became close again, and before long, John confessed his feelings to me just before graduation. I didn't hesitate to say yes. From that moment, we officially started dating, and it felt like life got even better. We went to different colleges, so we had to navigate a long-distance relationship, but we managed without any major fights. After a few years of working as adults, we finally got married. Married life was full of new discoveries. John was busy with work, but on weekends, we'd cook together or go for walks, making the most of our time as a couple. People often say, "Oh, childhood sweethearts? That's so romantic." But from the start, our marriage wasn't without its challenges. And the biggest challenge of all was John's relationship with Lily. For example, just the other day, I overheard them laughing together in the living room. I was cooking dinner, and I could hear John and Lily chatting like old friends. They've always been close, and I used to be happy about it. But lately, I've started to feel uneasy about how close they've become. "Hey, sis, come look at this," Lily called from the living room. I paused and walked out to see what they were laughing about. Lily was showing John something on her phone, and they were both cracking up. I noticed how close they were sitting, but I forced a smile and asked, "What's so funny?"
"It's this funny video I found. I've been watching it nonstop lately."
"I've got him hooked on it."
"Oh, really?" I smiled, but deep inside, I felt conflicted. It's nice that they're getting along, but sometimes their closeness makes me feel left out, especially when they're enjoying something without me. Soon it was time for dinner, and the three of us sat down at the table. As I served the food, I glanced at John and Lily. They were still laughing about something. I sighed internally, wondering how I could ease this growing discomfort.
"Hey, you okay? You seem a bit down."
I'm fine, just tired." I smiled weakly, trying to brush off John's concern.
"John, seriously, you need to help out more. Sarah does all the cooking."
"Hey, I do my fair share of housework. Besides, you're always here eating the food Sarah makes without helping."
"Well, I'm not good at cooking, and I'm the little sister, so I get a pass."
Their playful banter continued, but I barely listened. All I could think about was how to improve this situation. After days of worrying, I finally decided to talk to Lily directly. One afternoon, I invited her over and we chatted in the living room over tea. I was trying to find the right moment to bring it up. Taking a deep breath, I finally spoke up. Lily, can I talk to you about something?
Sure, what's up?
She looked at me with genuine curiosity, and I found it hard to begin. Well, it's about you and John. I know you guys are close, and I'm happy about that, but sometimes it worries me. I tried to choose my words carefully. Lily looked surprised for a moment, then she smiled.
Oh, come on, don't be silly. John and I are just friends. We've known each other for so long.
I felt a lump forming in my throat. But sometimes I feel left out. I hadn't realized it, but tears were starting to form in my eyes. All the insecurities I have been suppressing were coming to the surface. But Lily just brushed it off.
You're overthinking it, Sarah. We're just having fun. If you feel left out, why don't you join in like we used to as kids?
I wanted to respond, but no words came out. It hurt that my own sister didn't understand my feelings. Despite my attempts to talk to her, things between John and Lily didn't change. My frustrations only grew, and it started to affect my relationship with John. One night, I finally broke down and told John how I really felt. John, I'm worried about how close you and Lily are. I feel like I'm being pushed aside.
I'm sorry. I didn't realize you felt that way.
He seemed surprised, but quickly pulled me into a hug.
I promise I won't make you feel that way anymore.
Thank you. John comforted me and promised to be more mindful of my feelings. After that, he made a noticeable effort to prioritize our time together. However, Lily didn't seem to change her attitude toward John. She kept coming over just as often, though eventually she started visiting less after she got married herself. Lily's husband, David, worked for a prestigious company, and from what little I had spoken with him, he seemed like a smart and accomplished man. After they got married, Lily became a stay-at-home wife, so she didn't visit as much anymore. Although she didn't come by as often, we all stayed in touch. We even hung out with John's sister Emma and her husband, so it became kind of a family thing. But Lily's attitude toward John didn't change. She was still as close as ever to him, though it didn't bother me as much when we were in a group. I started thinking that maybe, just maybe, Lily thought of John more like a brother. After all, they had been around each other since we were kids. I decided to give them the benefit of the doubt. But just when I thought I was okay with everything, something happened that made me suspicious again. One day, out of nowhere, I got a phone call from Lily.
Hey, Sarah, guess what? I'm pregnant.
Oh, wow. That's amazing, Lily. Congratulations.
Thanks. I was so worried I might be infertile like you, but everything worked out.
Her words stopped me in my tracks. My husband and I hadn't had children yet, even though we were 3 years into our marriage. But we hadn't told anyone about our struggles to conceive. And we hadn't even gone to the doctor to confirm whether the issue was on my side or not. So why did Lily assume I was infertile? I thought for a moment and then realized the only way she could know was if John had told her. Did John mention that to you?
Yeah, he did. He said you two were trying for a baby but having trouble because you weren't getting pregnant. He said he suggested you go to the doctor, but you didn't want to because it would be expensive and take too much time.
The words coming out of Lily's mouth hit me like a punch to the gut. John had shared our private struggles with my sister. It felt like the air had been sucked out of the room. John and I had been trying to conceive for years, hoping that one day our family would grow. But each month came with disappointment, and I could feel my hope fading. John had always been there to lift my spirits, telling me,
"One day we'll have a child. I'm sure of it."
His words had comforted me, but my fear of infertility never really went away. I had even begun considering fertility treatments, but John wasn't as supportive of the idea. He preferred to let things happen naturally, and he wasn't keen on the costs or time involved in treatment. I understood where he was coming from, but as more time passed, my anxiety grew. Watching my friends start families while we remained childless was heartbreaking. Sometimes I cried alone at night, though I never let John see how much it hurt. I believed we would overcome this challenge together, and I held on to the hope that we would have a family someday. But now, hearing Lily casually talk about it as if my infertility was a given made my blood run cold. And the fact that John had framed it like it was solely my issue without even talking to a doctor was devastating. I forced myself to stay calm. Lily, this is something between me and John. Please, don't bring it up again.
Oh, sorry. I didn't mean to upset you. It's just, with pregnancy hormones and all, I guess I wasn't thinking straight.
It's okay. I'll send you a gift soon to celebrate. What do you need?
Oh, I already told John. I really want these adorable fur shoes. They're from a designer brand, so they're a bit pricey, but they're so cute.
I was already in shock, but hearing that Lily had told John about her pregnancy before me was the final blow. Oh, you already told him?
Yeah, I mentioned it when we talked the other day. Sorry I didn't tell you first.
It's fine, I'll ask John about the gift later. Take care of yourself, okay? After ending the call, I collapsed onto the couch, unable to process everything I had just heard. John had told Lily about our struggles to conceive. He has shared the reason why he didn't want to pursue fertility treatments because it was too expensive and time-consuming. And Lily had told John about her pregnancy before she even told me. All these revelations hit me like a wave, leaving me emotionally drained. I felt numb, incapable of doing anything but retreating to my bedroom and shutting the door behind me. When John got home from work, he seemed concerned about me being in bed, but I had no desire to talk to him. It wasn't until late that night that I felt ready to confront him. As John walked into our bedroom, I looked at him with a cold glare. Lily called me today.
Oh yeah? What did she say?
Don't play dumb. You already know what she said. She's pregnant and you knew before I did.
Oh right. Yeah, she mentioned it the other day. Wait, are you upset because she told me first?
He tried to laugh it off, but it was clear he didn't understand why I was angry. It's not just that, John. You've been talking to her behind my back. Why did Lily think it was okay to tell you something so important before me?
We talk sometimes. Lily's practically like family, Sarah. There's nothing wrong with that.
There's a difference between sharing everyday things and talking about our personal struggles, John. You told her about our infertility issues, didn't you? John hesitated, but I pressed on. You told her that I was the reason we couldn't have kids, didn't you? You've made this all about me.
No, that's not what I meant. Lily's exaggerating.
Then why does she know all the details? You've been talking about something incredibly private, John. My frustration was boiling over. And it's not just that. I know why you don't want to try fertility treatments. Lily let us slip. It's because of money and time, isn't it? How can you say you want kids when you're not willing to put in the effort or make the sacrifices? I'm so disappointed in you. I finally said everything I had been holding inside. John sat in silence for a moment before finally responding.
I get it, Sarah. I hear what you're saying, but I need to say this too. Even if we try fertility treatments, there's no guarantee it'll work. If it doesn't work, then we'll just have wasted time and money.
I know there's no guarantee, but if there's even a small chance I want to take it, that's not a reason to give up, John. Or are you saying that your desire to have children isn't strong enough to face this challenge?
What are you even saying, Sarah? You're acting like I don't care about having kids. Of course I want children, but it's been 3 years and nothing's happened. It's not just your fault, but let's face it, the issue is probably on your side. And I'm not about to waste my time and money if that's the case.
His words struck a nerve. I felt my face flush with anger. How can you say it's my fault without even knowing for sure? We haven't even been tested. You have no right to assume it's me.
I'm just saying, you've always had irregular cycles, Sarah.
Irregular periods don't automatically mean infertility. Don't make baseless assumptions.
Calm down. Yelling isn't going to help us talk about this. Maybe it's your stress that's causing the problem. Maybe if you weren't so high-strung all the time, we'd have a better shot at getting pregnant.
I froze, unable to believe what I had just heard. My husband, the man I had loved since childhood, was blaming me for our infertility. And worse, he was comparing me to Lily, my sister, who had just so easily gotten pregnant. I couldn't hold back my tears any longer. Grabbing a blanket, I rushed out of the bedroom. I'm done. I'm sleeping on the couch tonight.
Wait, Sarah, come on. Don't be like that.
His voice trailed behind me, but I ignored him. I curled up on the couch, pulling the blanket over my head as I silently cried into the night. That night was a turning point in our marriage. We became distant after that, almost like roommates instead of a married couple. We started sleeping in separate rooms, eating meals at different times. Our relationship was hanging by a thread. And just when I thought things couldn't get any worse, Lily gave birth. She invited John, me, and Emma's family to visit her in the hospital. Despite everything, I felt obligated to go. When we arrived, Lily looked great, especially for someone who had just given birth. Her baby girl was healthy and adorable, and we all took turns holding her. Everything seemed fine until it was Emma's husband's turn to hold the baby.
Come on, Daddy, it's your turn to hold her.
The room fell silent for a second. Emma quickly laughed it off, trying to keep the mood light.
Lily, what are you talking about? That's my husband, Brian. You must be exhausted. We should probably let you rest.
Whoa, I'm not David. I mean, I'm flattered you confused me with someone so successful, but seriously, be careful what you say in public.
Everyone tried to laugh off the awkwardness, but then Lily said something that changed everything.
I didn't misspeak. This baby is his.
The room froze again, but this time it felt like the world had stopped spinning.
What? No way. You got to be mistaken. I've never...
Emma stared at her husband in disbelief, her face growing pale. The atmosphere in the room shifted dramatically.
It's true. I'm not confused, Emma. This baby is his. It happened last year at that party, remember? The one at David's parents' lake house?
My mind raced back to the night of the party she was talking about. It was supposed to be a fun weekend getaway, just a few close friends at David's family's lake house. David couldn't make it because of work, so it was just the 5 of us, John, Emma, Brian, Lily, and me. I had gone to bed early because I couldn't handle my liquor, but the others stayed up late, drinking and partying.
You remember, right? After you passed out, he came to my room. He's not the type to black out after drinking, so he should remember too.
No, I didn't go to your room, Lily. And even if I did, I'd never cheat on my wife.
Oh wait, what exactly are you talking about? For the first time since the conversation started, Emma was no longer calm. She turned toward her husband, her usual calm demeanor gone. He looked panicked, visibly shaking, his usual cool exterior beginning to crack. Before anyone else could speak, I glanced at John. To my horror, he was smirking, seemingly amused by the chaos unfolding in front of him. I couldn't take it anymore. Emma, don't worry, he's not the father of Lily's baby.
Wait, how do you know that? Yeah, Sarah, what are you talking about?
Because the father is someone else, and he's about to walk through that door right now. I turned toward the hospital room door, my heart racing as I called out, "You can come in now." The door creaked open, and in walked someone no one expected to see. It was David.
David? What are you doing here? I thought you were on a business trip.
I decided to take some time off. We have a lot to discuss, and I figured I'd get started on the paperwork now.
Lily's face went pale, her confident demeanor faltering as she took in David's words. Emma and Brian, too, stood frozen in place, unable to comprehend what was happening.
Wait, what's going on?
Allow me to explain.
David stepped forward, taking a deep breath before making a shocking confession.
First of all, this baby is not mine. I knew something was off as soon as Lily told me she was pregnant. Timing didn't add up.
So, who's the father?
It's not your husband, Emma. I would never betray you like that.
Emma breathed a sigh of relief and hugged her husband tightly, visibly emotional.
Then who is it?
I think you already know the answer to that. Isn't that right, John?
All eyes turned to John. His face turned white as a sheet. The smirk that had been plastered on his face moments ago disappeared, replaced by sheer panic.
What? No! This is ridiculous. You can't just accuse me without proof. Oh, I have proof.
David reached into his bag, pulling out a sealed envelope.
Here's the DNA test. According to this, there's a 99.9% chance that the father of Lily's baby is you, John. This can't be real. It's a lie. When did you even get the test? With Sarah's help, we conducted the test while Lily was still pregnant.
John turned to me, looking both shocked and betrayed.
Sarah, you knew about this?
I looked him square in the eyes, my heart steady as I spoke the truth. Yes, John, I knew. After Lily's pregnancy was confirmed, I started investigating. Soon enough, I found out that you and Lily have been having an affair for years. Even back when we were long distance, you were sneaking around with my sister.
It was a mistake. It didn't mean anything. It was just a fling.
Don't blame me for this, Sarah. You're the one who neglected John, making him feel lonely.
So loneliness is an excuse for cheating? You and John are just selfish. You couldn't control your urges, and now you're both paying the price. I'm done with both of you. I pulled out the signed divorce papers I had been holding onto and handed them to John. David, too, took out his divorce papers and handed them to Lily. Here's the divorce. It's over, John. I'll be expecting half of the assets as well, Lily. John and Lily protested, trying to explain, but David and I had had enough. We walked out of the hospital, leaving them behind. Oh, and by the way, your parents will be here soon. I told them that John is the father of Lily's baby, so they'll be stopping by to congratulate you both. John and Lily's voices echoed behind us as we left the room. Emma and her husband also left, severing ties with them completely. I later heard that their parents arrived at the hospital, and the scene that followed was a disaster. Both of our families disowned John and Lily. They were left with nothing. Forced to move into a cheap apartment, the two of them now lived together with their child. Meanwhile, I moved away with my parents and started a new life. I finally opened my own business, something I had always dreamed of. Though the betrayal was painful, it also gave me the courage to pursue my goals. And now my business is thriving, thanks to the support of my family. The wounds from my marriage may still linger, but every day I get a little closer to healing. Emma and her family continue to be part of my life. Recently, she gave birth to her first son, a beautiful baby boy. Holding him in my arms, I felt a sense of peace wash over me. Looking at his innocent little face, I silently wished him a life full of happiness and love. As I watched the baby's video that Emma has sent me, I realized that life would go on. And I knew I would be okay.